Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you coming. We're doing 8 weeks, and this is now the 6th session of the 8 weeks. We were asked to do something on helping people learn how to share their faith with others. And so we've been listening to the audio presentations by Dr. Ken Sherb, who's the head of outreach for the Central Illinois District, and using his handouts. And you may recall the first 2 weeks we looked at how to start a spiritual conversation. Anybody remember anything from there? One of the key takeaways, we're going to have to do them all over again. One of the key takeaways for me was to ask someone a non-threatening question. For example, what church did you grow up in? Because if someone grew up in a church or didn't grow up in a church, it's not their fault either way, right? You're not saying anything that they could take offense at because they had nothing to do with it. Whether they go now is a different story. But and then in the second 2 sessions, he talked to us about how to listen discerningly. Remember that we did the speaker-listener technique, and how to ask questions that evoke responses. So one of the things you could do, for example, from the first session, to start a spiritual conversation, is to just ask somebody, I'm baptized. Are you baptized? And again, is that a threatening or offensive question? If a person grew up in an atheist family, it's like, no, we didn't believe in that stuff, right? Okay. But then in the second session, to listen, you start to ask questions that help you learn more about them. And then this last week, the third session, we're looking at making a simple statement of the gospel. And so what we're going to do is practice it, just as we've done before. But now I'm going to have you practice kind of all 3 steps. So we've got almost 25 minutes, let's say 24 minutes. So I'm going to have you pair up in a minute, not with your spouse. If I see 2 spouses talking together, I will walk over there and say, okay, you're going over here. You have to find someone else. And I want you to start with the introduction. So you've just met each other. Hi, my name is. Oh, hi, my name is. And you can say anyone that you remember that you like. You can say, I'm baptized. Are you? Or if you're wearing a cross, or if the other person has a shirt that says hope on it or something. Oh, I see your cross. What does that mean for you? Some kind of open-ended question, something they can't answer with yes or no. And then go to the second question and start listening and finding out more. Tell me more about what it was like. Or, did you grow up in church? Oh yeah, well, sometimes we sort of went to the Baptist church. Well, tell me what that was like going to church for you when you were younger, right? So some kind of follow-up. But then eventually I want you to get to the third question. And those of you that were here last week, he went through 3 different methods for approaching this. Now, if you feel comfortable enough and you want to do it, and you can use your notes, it's okay. Look at your papers. If you feel comfortable, use any one of the 3. But if you aren't sure, I'm going to ask you to use the second one. So look at your notes again. Letter B. Sin separation savior method. So this, in the italics right under B, see where it says, this method can be used after people have told you how they think they will be saved, especially if their way is not Christ and His gospel. It might be adapted for use in situations more broadly. So this is the one I want you to use. So in your sharing, the person who is the the new person, the person that's not trying this, I need you to be good actors and actresses to go along with this. Don't try to throw them off. Your goal is not to see if you can stump them or something, to go along with it. So when they ask you, did you grow up in church? You make something up. Say, oh yeah, we went to a Lutheran church once in a while. Oh, what was that like for you? Oh, I didn't really like it very much. Whatever. But at some point, they're trying to listen, they're asking you questions and trying to listen to you. Share with them something that you know is not really the gospel. So, I think, even though I didn't go to church, I'm a good enough person, God will accept me. Or, I know I've tried to do right in my life. Whatever, however you want to say it, but don't give the right answer. And then the one who is practicing this, then you can use this method, sin, separation, Savior. So looking back at your sheet again, may I tell you why I believe I will go to heaven? I try to be a good person, or you're reflecting whatever they said. So if they said to you, yeah, because I was a member of the church, or my parents were in the church, that you just reflect that. So yeah, my parents were in the church. Or I was a member of the church, or I've tried to be a good person. Whatever it is that they say, you reflect that back, and then you go on from there. But I discovered that I still sin. I still do things that don't measure up to what God expects, the standard of perfection that He demands. And that's why I'm so glad to know that He sent His Son. And then you can talk about Jesus, who died on the cross. Does everybody kind of see where they're going? So one of you has to kind of be a good actor to set them up for this and give them a chance. And this is their first time trying it, so you're not trying to stump them, you're trying to make it as easy for them as possible to get to the point where they share about Jesus. So you can talk for a few minutes. Like I said, you're going to have 12 minutes, 10 minutes each to try this. So you can talk a little bit. Say, oh yeah, I grew up in this church, or this is what I had happened to me, this is what I think. But you're setting them up for this final question. Well, can I tell you why I think? And they're repeating back what they've heard you say, to kind of call attention to how there's the misunderstanding of what gets us to heaven, leading to the right understanding. So this will be a challenge. It's not going to be easy, but don't be afraid. Go ahead and try it. So are you all split up? You have your partners? Everybody find your partners?
What's your
Sorry to have to interrupt again, but I'm going to ask you to kind of stop wherever you are and just redirect your attention back up here again for the last couple of minutes. Let me just ask for, we'll get a non-verbal feedback here. The first part of it, starting a spiritual conversation. If you talked about the Packers the whole time, this should be a 0 for you, right? From 1 to 10, from 1 to 10, 1 being this was really hard, to 10 being this was really easy. I'm going to have to everybody put up your fingers from 1 to 10. How easy was it to get into the first part, a spiritual conversation, to introduce something spiritual? Let me just see. Okay. Hold them up, let me just see. All right. So there were a few of you this was really, really hard. A few of you this was really, really easy. This is hard for me, by the way. I'm the pastor. And this is the hardest step, because I'm always assuming I'm gonna offend somebody, which I shouldn't. But that's challenging. The second part then was asking questions that helped you see where that person is in their spiritual life, getting a sense of what they believe, what their background is, what their idols may be, what they hold up as more important than God. But just asking them questions that help you listen to them and understand them. 1 being this was really, really hard, to 10 being that was very easy. Let me get a sense of the difficulty of that for you. Some of you aren't voting. Okay. And then for the third part was getting to the place where you could share a simple explanation of the good news of Christ. The 3-part formula they have in the second option of the handout I gave you was sin, separation, and Savior. Helping that person kind of see that our big problem is that sin separates us from God, but God has sent a Savior for it. How difficult was that? From 1 being really, really hard to 10 being you found it very easy. Okay. All right, good. So again, a few people is very hard, but most of you that wasn't too bad. Anybody feel like when they were the acquaintance, they were the one that was going to be, to whom the witness was going to come, when you were acting out your part, that you feel like the person that was your partner did a really, really good job of one of those 3? Asked you something that really connected or stated something that you thought, oh, this really makes sense. Anybody have something like that they'd share? One that really, really worked for them? All right, so we all still need some practice, I guess. All right, the next 2 sessions, next week will be the audio again of Dr. Sherb, and then the last one, 2 weeks from today, we'll practice that portion. And that will be bearing witness to the resurrection of Jesus. So thank you for being here, and God's blessings be with you. We'll hope to see you again next Sunday.